And action. Okay, welcome everyone to Recruitment Masterminds, our weekly coaching session. And you know what? I'm seeing some too as well. You know what? This is a really interesting subject for me because I've spoken to a number of you this previous week who have said to me, "Well, you know something? We keep hearing from consultants in our business, oh, you know, I don't have enough candidates to work on." Or, thank you, Lucy, loud and clear. Yoni, clear, good. Thank you, Louise. Louise, you're making me blush. Steve, fine. Yep, mine too. Frustrated and annoyed, Disha. I know what that's like. Okay. So, yeah, you know, you guys have said to me, you know what, I've got consultants in my office moaning that they haven't got enough candidates to work on. And I've got other consultants in my business that are moaning they haven't got enough new clients or new jobs or whatever to work on. There's a lot of people annoyed and moaning, and even some of you have been really honest and said, look, I'm saying those things. You know, I'm kind of complaining I haven't got enough candidates, qualified candidates to work on. I haven't got enough new jobs and new vacancies, new clients to work with. And for this week's session, what I wanted to do was really just address that and address it in a really practical way. You know, some of the sessions that we do, what I try and do with you guys is look at mindsets. You know, we're dealing with leaders here. I know there are some consultants joining us. If you are sitting in your in your boss's office, or you're watching this on a plasma or something else, that's great because they've, you know, invited you into our world. But usually with masterminds, what we do is we work on mindsets and leadership and, you know, what it takes to run a recruitment business. For this session, I wanted to deal with the nuts and bolts. I wanted to give you some key strategies, some key techniques that actually went straight to that problem that I mentioned earlier. Not enough candidates, not enough clients. So today's session, I'm hoping, is going to be really useful for you. And you know what? It's two very simple techniques, okay? So look, I'm going to start off just by asking you guys a quick poll, if I can get this working correctly. What could you use in your recruitment business right now? So what could you use in your recruitment business right now? Is it, number one, more placeable candidates? Is it more new clients? Or is it both? Right now in your recruitment business or in your desk, if you're a recruiter watching this, what could you use in your recruitment business or desk right now? More placeable candidates, more new clients, or both? And let's have a look. If you are seeing that, all I want you to do is just vote on that. Just tick one of the boxes. It should be up on your polls. Should have come up as a pop-up, I'm hoping. Let's have a look. And let me see if I can vote. I'm going to vote as well. Good, okay, let's see what we come up with. So just final moment to put your vote in, and I'm going to end that poll, and I'm also going to let you know what the results are. So let's have a look. Good, okay, wow. All right, so that's an interesting one, really interesting. Okay, let me just tell you. You guys can probably see that. Okay, so now I've read it, I can kind of understand it. 33% of you, a third of you, are saying, well, we want more clients, and 67% of you, so 2/3 of you, are saying we want both. When I saw the most placeable candidates or more placeable candidates, 0, I'm like, what? They don't need candidates? Those people were lying to me when they spoke to me. So kind of what I figured, you know, everyone is looking. Sorry, 2/3 of you are looking for candidates and clients. And there's a third of you that just say, look, I've got enough candidates, but I just need more clients. So this session's going to be great for you, and you can let me know at the end if that's done. So let me see if I can take that one out for you. Good, okay. So look, let's get on with this. Look, as we, Tom, the video keeps having to load. Graham's saying sound quality poor, double vocal. Okay, Graham, on the double vocal, that could be that you may have two windows open. So if you can, try to to, actually, Graham, I'm going to try and take something out. I don't know if that's going to help you. Tom and Adrienne, the video keeps having to load. It sounds like it's a broadband thing, so bandwidth or whatever. Close down anything that you have that could be affecting your bandwidth. But let's carry on if we can. Good. Okay. And for the people that were saying the sound quality is the laptop microphone. So I'm going to try and speak a little bit more loudly than I normally do, just to see if we can get this on. Okay. So look, the two situations: consultants are in your office saying, "I don't have enough candidates." Consultants are in your business saying, "I don't have enough clients." There are consultants or you in your business saying, "I need both." I'm going to give you, or remind some of you, of a very, very simple technique that we should be using. It's best practice, but as we all know, best practice doesn't mean common practice, okay? Not always, or even common sense doesn't mean common practice. So I'm going to remind you of this. Now, I want to talk about references, okay? Now, before you guys all switch off or say to me, "Oh, Roy, you know, I thought it was going to be some revolutionary thing," this is a really, really good, solid technique. But when I walk around recruitment offices now, I find that people, for some reason, have lost the ability to use references as a candidate generation tool or a client generation or a vacancy generation tool. And what I want to do is reintroduce that back to at least you guys, and in your offices do it, and get your consultants doing it, because it's an untapped resource. Any of you that know my training will know that I talk about marketing candidates, your most placeable candidates, as the #1 business generation tool, new business generation tool, worldwide, used by recruiters. So using a great candidate to open a door and speak to somebody. Well, references, using a reference as a new biz or a lead generation tool, is the #2 preferred method worldwide. So if you're not using this in your office, I really, really will kind of encourage you to do it. Now look, I'm going to, straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you something. If you're running, I know some of you are, Tracy, Justine, I know that you guys run a temp desk. Some of, Graham, I know that you have a temp side or a contract side. A few of you do. If you guys have got temp or contract or interim, you know all about references, okay? I know that you know references, and you use references generally because you want to know who's on your payroll, okay? If you're paying them, you want to know that this person checks out. Today's purpose is not about using references to check somebody out, okay? That's all really valid, and I think it's important. I'm not telling you don't do that stuff anymore. It's really vital that you do. But I want you and I want your teams to use references in a very different way to the way that they're traditionally used in temp or contract businesses. For the perm guys out there, pure perm guys, I know what you're like, all right, because I used to be one. I used to put it in my terms and conditions of business, and you've got this line, I know you have. Terms and conditions of business, I used to say in there, some line somewhere, any of you consultants, just check it out somewhere in the T's and C's. It's going to say, references are the responsibility of the client. And that's true, all right? That's true when it's about checking out the validity of a candidate, okay? When it's about checking out the validity of someone coming to work for you. Because you want to know standard reference questions. You want to know stuff like, are they trustworthy? Have they got a criminal record? Would you re-employ? You want to know all that stuff-ish if you are going to pull this person onto your payroll. Today, I'm going to talk about references not used like that, but as a lead generation tool. A, to get more candidates, B, to get more clients, or C, both, okay? So look, let's get straight down to it. You've got a candidate in front of you. Now, I can't see all your hands up or anything, but if you're one of the party that says, well, I need more candidates, just put a virtual hand up or whatever. It's like, yeah, I need more candidates. I want you to use this methodology, okay? So write this down in your notes. For more candidates, I want you to use the methodology of peer referencing. Peer referencing, and peer spelled P-E-E-R, referencing, okay? So this is how peer referencing is going to work. Some of you, a lot of you actually are specialists within your marketplace, all right? So I'm just going to choose a random specialization. So, okay, look, if we wanted, I don't know, more of this type of candidate, let's say accountants, right? I'm always giving accountants a bit of a hard time, so why not give them some love and appreciation on this webcast? So let's say you deal in you place qualified accountants or part qualified accountants. What I want you to do is use the peer referencing methodology in order to seek out more qualified accountants. And the way that you'll do that is when you are interviewing or when you're qualifying any candidate that works within your niche, any candidate with the same job description or job title of the candidates that you want to attract more of. So for example, an accountant, I want you to use this wording. And you guys know I don't usually kind of talk about scripts, so I'm going to give you some words. By all means, take notes, but think about the structure of what I'm talking about and use your own words, because your words will be a lot more valid in your particular niche. So, and I'm sure far more eloquent than mine. Right. So, you're interviewing a candidate who's an accountant. The thing that I would ask you to do is use words like this. So, Tom, I'm going to use you. Tom. This is actually two very vital things. You're going to use this peer methodology with two factors in place. First of all is timing, and secondly is rapport. Okay, timing, it's towards the end of your qualification call or face-to-face interview, whatever, but timing is vital. It has to come towards the end of a conversation rather than trying to do it prematurely at the beginning. If you do it too early and it doesn't go quite right, then you've almost messed up that conversation. So timing is really important. The second thing is rapport, and what a difficult thing to describe. Rapport it's that kind of feeling, isn't it? You're getting on. There's some interaction between you. You feel that the candidate is warm to you. You're warm to the candidate. It's that X factor, and I'm not going to teach you guys to suck eggs. You either know that you've got it or you're completely oblivious to it. But those two things are really important: timing and rapport. That's towards the end of the interview, towards the end of the qualification call, and you're definitely getting on with the candidate. So the pitch that I would do is, Tom, I'm going to use you as my candidate. Tom, look, you're a great candidate. A lot of the clients that I'm working with now, that I'm working with currently, are finding that peer references, i.e. references given by somebody doing the same job as you, are more telling, more valuable, more valid than managerial references, i.e. given by somebody that used to do the job or has never done the job or hasn't done the job for a long time. I'm sure you'll agree. So it's first of all introducing what a peer reference is. And remember, I'm going to go back over it again. Tom, a lot of my clients are finding that peer references, i.e. references given by somebody doing the same job as you, are more telling, more valid, more valuable than references given by somebody who has never done that job before or did it so long ago they've forgotten what it's like. I'm sure you'd agree with that. Now sure you would agree with that, it's almost, in sales speak, that's a tie down. It's just getting somebody to say, actually, yeah, that's a logical point to make, and yes, I agree with that. And if we step out of this role play just for a little bit, you'll see there is a lot of logic to it, right? We're all recruiters. We all kind of understand the recruitment job that we do. Well, if I wanted somebody to give me a reference on my job as a recruiter, the best person actually would be the person sat next to me doing the same job, or the person that's sat next to me in my previous job and worked with me, toe to toe as a recruiter. Somebody perhaps I've competed against or collaborated with. Not necessarily, my boss that's sitting in the ivory tower in his or her, marble-lined office. I don't know where I got that one from. It's not that person. It's the person that's sat across the desk from me. He or she knows the job that I'm doing, and in a sense, it's logical that that person will be able to talk more, more accurately about the work that I've done and the results that I've achieved. Anyway, that's the theory, okay? So I put this theory to the person that I'm asking, that I'm interviewing. It's Tom, the accountant. So Tom, a lot of my clients are finding these peer references are far more telling, more valuable, more valid than references given by a manager. So with that in mind, Tom, or even asking them, what do you think? But just getting some agreement to, yes, peer referencing sounds like absolutely right. I can see why a lot of your clients would do that. So Tom, with that in mind, this is very key, okay? Give me the names of 2 accountants or 2 part qualified accountant, whatever Thomas is. Give me the names of 2 people on the same level as you that have done the same job as you that will speak highly of you, okay? So give me the names of 2 other, and the key phrase here, I just want you to underline this, is give me, all right? Now, give me is not a can you give me. Give me is a demand. There's not even a question mark on the end of this. It's give me the names of. It's different. Can you see the subtle difference? Can you give me the names of 2 is a question, and they can say yes or no. If they say yes, you've got to ask them another question, which is, what are those names? So let's save a whole heap of time by just saying, give me the names of 2 people, 2 accountants that you've worked with previously that will tell me and my client that you're as good as you presented yourself today. So that's a really and I've encountered very little resistance to that. That the whole peer referencing theory or methodology makes perfect sense to a candidate, particularly a candidate who's reporting to a boss who's never done the job before. So, try it with the candidates that you're talking to. They'll usually go, oh yeah, actually I can see why that would be, far more telling. So remember those key things: timing and rapport. Remember to explain the methodology to them. So explain the theory behind peer referencing. And then also use the phrase, give me the names of 2, okay? Now, here's an extra bit of bunts for you. If you really want to, you could push for another name, okay? If this person's giving you up, just coughed you 2 names, there's nothing to stop you. It's like, okay, well, if I can't get hold of those 2, who else could I speak to? You know what? If you just asked that question and got 1 more name, it's like what? You're increasing your, the number of candidates you can speak to by 1/3. It's like you've got 1/3 more candidates, 30% more candidates coming through to you, accountants that you can place. Okay, so use that one. Now, I'm going to really quickly tell you what you do on the call when you call those candidates. Would that be useful to you? I hope it would. Okay. So I'm really conscious of time, so I'm going to do this quickly. I've got the names, obviously, of the 2 accountants that Tom's given me. I'll call those people. You guys know me. I'm old school, right? So email, great. I love it, but don't ever replace the art of communication or the art of verbal communication and think that you're going to do the same thing on an email. You can't close, you can't hear the person's reaction to it, you can't communicate irony very easily. Humor often can be misinterpreted in an email or even a tweet. So I would say to you, please call them, all right? Calling them is going to give you the edge. Calling them is going to give your consultants the cut the steel against your competitors that are busy sending emails and the like. So I would say to you, if I've got an accountant, Tom, that's given me the names of 2 other accountants, as soon as I've said goodbye to Tom, I'm on the phone to those 2 candidates. If you're telling me you need candidates, qualified accountants to place in other jobs, this is what you should be doing. So the call into those guys is very, very simple. Jane, hi, my name's Roy Ripper. I specialise in placing accountants. You guys can work out a much better script than that, and please don't use my name or the fact that you're placing accountants if you don't. But it's your elevator pitch, you know that. So hi, introduce yourself by name, introduce yourself by specialisation or niche. Try and put a little twist on it if you can. You want to encourage this person to think, actually this person, you know, is an authority within here. So typically, specialists that I work with would say, you know, I specialise in placing the top 5% of accountants in, you know, London and the home counties, or I specialise in placing, you know, times top 100 auditors, or whatever it is. Okay, so you find that piece. The reason for my call, Jane, is that Tom gave me your name, or Tom suggested your name as someone that he trusts. Now, I'm working with Tom currently and looking at this type of role, and describe the opportunity, sell the opportunity that you're working on with Tom. Don't name the client, etc. You don't need to do that, but I'm currently working with Tom on exploring this type of opportunity, and describe it, you know, sell it well. And I'm calling, the reason for my call today, Jane, is I want to verify some information. Okay, I want to verify some information. So, and actually, sorry, you don't have to use that one. Okay, I'm going to come back to the verify bit. Jane, hi. Speaking to Tom, he gave me your name as someone that he trusts, and that he's worked with in the past. And I just wanted to find out, how would you describe Tom? Come up with whatever question you like. It doesn't really matter, right? And it's not the standardized reference questions. That's what I was trying to get away from. You don't want to ask things like, oh, you know, was Tom ever sick? Was Tom ever late? Was Tom, you know, trustworthy? Does Tom have a criminal record? Does Tom, you know, I'm not interested in that stuff. You shouldn't be interested in that stuff for this call, right? If you're doing it to verify whether this person's a mad axeman or whatever, or woman, that's cool. If they're coming on your payroll, you need to know those things, but you're not doing it on this call, okay? This call is all about, I want more accountants, okay? So ask Jane whatever innocuous question you can come up with. So Jane, you know, I'm working with Tom on an accountant's position that will involve, you know, managing a team of 10. How would you describe Tom's skill in that area? His, you know, his leadership skills. It doesn't matter, and quite frankly, you know, Jane's going to tell me the answer to it. I don't mean to be facetious or rude, but I'm not as interested in Jane's answer on Tom. It will be useful, be, you know, interesting, but that's not why I've called Jane. Okay, anyone out there know why I've called Jane? You guessed it. I want Jane to. I just want to have conversation. I want to have dialogue and hopefully build rapport with Jane. So, Jane, you know, Tom's given me your name as someone he trusts. You know, and that he's worked with in the past. I just want to ask you a question, you know, about Tom, blah, and just ask it. All right. Now, Jane hopefully is going to give you some information. Try not to use the word reference. I'm going to give you another word to use in a short while. Try not to use that word reference, because the moment you use reference, you guys know that people are pre-programmed. Computer says no. They'll say something like, oh, you know, sorry, we can't give references, you've got to speak to HR. It's not the reason for the call. So, you know, Tom's giving your name as somebody that he trusts and really values. He asked me to contact you. I just want to ask you, you know, one question. That's it. Make it sound really, really simple, okay? And it should be one question. Try and think of the most innocuous one that you can ask. Now, we wouldn't be doing our jobs as recruiters if we just got off of that call and just said, yeah, thanks, Jane, bye, boom, put the phone down. So if you're a kick down door recruiter, all right, and I know you're out there, some of you are anyway, if you're a kick down door recruiter, you can ask, hey, Jane, you know, what kind of opportunities do you keep your eyes and ears open for? If you're that type of recruiter, and I totally understand if you're not. If you're not that type of recruiter, what I want you to do is thank Jane. Actually, even if you are that type of recruiter, still thank Jane. So, Jane, thank you so much for that information you provided on Tom. I'm sure he'll be really pleased, you know, the fact that you've come through for him like that. Jane, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to let you know what happens with Tom, you know, as we progress. So, and just on behalf of myself and Tom, I just want to say thank you, okay? Now, that's it. If you're the sophisticated recruiter, that's enough. However, when you get off the phone to Jane, what I want you to do is to send something to Jane. That could be an email, it could be a small postcard, it could be anything. I don't want you to load it up with loads of, oh, Jane, here's a job, or hey, Jane, if you're recruiting ever, it's like, here's some candidates. I don't want you to put brochures in. The really, really simple thing is, hi Jane, thank you so much for that information you provided today. I'll be in touch. Kind regards, Roy Ripper. It's on your letterhead. You can, if you want, put one business card in there. But here's the deal, no brochures, all right? No company brochures, no CVs, no hot jobs list, none of that. That's just cheap and nasty. You don't want to do that at this stage, all right? It's just a plain, simple thank you. Going out of fashion, unfortunately, and I'm determined to kind of get thank you back in fashion. You can quote me on that. Okay, so look, that's peer references. I want to talk about the people that I'm sorry, Seb. I just saw Sebastian running a bit late, but I'm finally watching. No worries, man. I'm glad that you're here. Yeah, the people that are looking for more clients, yeah, and 2/3 of you were looking for both. So we want more clients, we want more clients, we want more clients. Okay, here's the deal. You need to speak to more decision makers, okay? You need to speak to more decision makers. So the way that you do referencing is different to the peer referencing. What I want you to do is, if you're interviewing a candidate, and actually here's a bit even more strategic than that. When you're registering a candidate, if you've received a CV from a candidate, and you look through that candidate's work history on the CV, and you find any employer, any client, any employer that they've worked at that's on your prospect list. Remember, we've spoken about this previous sessions. It's your target list, it's your wish list, it's your 10 to 15 to 20 companies that you'd love to do business with this year, okay, or within the next 12 months. So if you're going through your CVs in your inbox and you go, this person works or used to work at Coca-Cola. If Coca-Cola happens to be one of the names on your target prospect list, what I'm asking you to do is don't pull people in on false pretenses. Try if you can to be thinking, where could I place this person? Where can I place this person? But what I want you doing is qualifying that candidate. What I'd like you doing, ideally, and logistics permitting, is bring the candidate in and interview them. But in the reference bit, remember timing and rapport towards the end of the interview, towards the end of the qualification call, and you've got rapport with that candidate, I want you asking for managerial references. So different to peer, right? We're not asking for names of 2 people they've worked with. We're asking for 2 managers that they've worked for, okay? So same pitch, timing and rapport. Tom, okay, you've presented yourself really well here today. Thank you so much. And on paper and in person, you've definitely got some skills that I know my client's going to be interested in. However, all of my clients will look for references or testimonials from people that you work for or have worked for in the past. So senior managers, senior executives within your current or previous firm that you've worked for. Now, obviously, I don't want you to give me the names of anyone in your current firm that you wouldn't want to know, and I won't contact them. Okay, so common sense. Don't scare the candidate thinking, oh my God, they're going to call my boss. Right? They don't want you to do that for obvious reasons. But do ask them. Give me the names, and actually, it's that phrase again. Give me the names of 2 managers that you've worked with in the past that will speak highly of you. Now, you've noticed on both of these peer references and managerial references, I've encouraged them to give me the names of 2 people, whether it's other accountants or whether it's senior level line managers. I don't care if they give me their best friends, all right? And particularly on the peer references, I don't care. If they're their best friends, then that's great, because hopefully the candidate will tell them what a great recruiter I am or you are. But even on the managerial references, I don't care whether they give me a relative. I don't care if they give me somebody that was their manager, but really they were mates and used to go on holiday together and drink together and all that kind of stuff. I don't really care, as long as they're a decision maker, a senior level decision maker in the niche that I specialize in. So don't be too kind of like worked up about, give me the name of the ultimate director or whatever, and you don't need to be hung up on that, okay? Give me the names of 2 managers that you've worked with in the past that will verify, that will tell me you're as good as the way that you've presented yourself to me today. Now that almost gives the candidate an excuse to give you their best managers. Perfect. Those are the ones I want to speak to, all right? And remember, the purpose of this call is not primarily to to tell me whether this candidate is good, bad, indifferent, whether they re-employ. I'm going to leave that to the HR bods to take up that kind of reference. I want to use this reason, this purpose of a call to speak to 2 senior level decision makers in my chosen niche, or 2 senior level decision makers in your chosen niche. All right. So and remember, they're going to give me 2 names, and that's great. Try and find out, what department is that, what job title do they have. Brilliant. Get as much information as you can. Once you've got that 2, you know me, I'm really cheeky. I'm always going to ask, okay, if so thank you, Tom, for those 2 I've got here, Peter and Paul. If Peter and Paul aren't available for whatever reason, if I can't get hold of those guys, Peter and Paul, who else could I speak to, Tom? Who else will tell me you're as good as, right? So I'm just, I'm almost pushing you to 2, great. And, you're doing well if you've got 2. Pat yourself on the back. It's all good. But if you were to get 3, wow, you've increased your lead generation by 30-odd%, right? So, it's a third. So it gives you more chances. It gives you more people to speak to. Please don't have you or any of your consultants in your office turning around and saying, I don't have enough clients to speak to, I don't have enough candidates to work on. You want to be getting that great big bat or racket out and, ready to clout something. No, can't do that, unfortunately. So don't do that. But, don't fall for that excuse. People say to me all the time, I don't have enough candidates, I don't have enough candidates. It's like, you've got, how many CVs do you receive a week? Brilliant. How many references or referees are put on the bottom of those CVs? On average, 1 to 2, right? So if you times the number of CVs by 2, that's the number of potential candidates or clients or decision makers that you could speak to. It's an untapped resource in most recruitment firms. So please don't ever, allow people in your business to give you the excuse they don't have enough. You've got enough. It's just, whether they want to go digging. Right. So we've got these 2 names, maybe 3 if we're being really cheeky. How do we make the call? Really, really quickly. First of all, and you need to note this down, do not, I repeat, do not use the word reference, okay? Do not use the word reference. Why not? We said earlier, the moment that you say, oh, hi, I'm calling up for a reference on Tom, oh, I'm really sorry, we've, the HR policy here is that we're not allowed to give references. We're going to put you through to our HR department. Put you through now. Bye-bye. You don't want that, okay? So do not use the word reference. It's not good. And we all know why, okay? We all know why. There's loads of, legislation that's been threatening to come in for years, but this whole thing about you can't give a bad reference and you can't say this, and, the data, is it the Data Protection Act? The fact that if somebody said something that was perceived as, or could be perceived as negative, we don't want any of that on record. So that's why you do not want to use that word reference. They want to put you through to HR because they don't want to get into trouble. So ban the word reference at all. I shouldn't even call this managerial references. I should be calling it managerial verification calls, all right? Or, yeah, candidate verification calls, whatever it is, it's a verification call. So when we call up, what I want you to do is identify the person by name. So, hi, is that Jane? And Jane, are you the senior accounts manager or the financial director of blah blah blah? Yeah, Jane speaking. Jane Smith speaking. Okay, Jane, I'm currently working with Thomas Allen. Tom's given me your name as someone that that he's worked with in the past, worked for in the past, and the reason for my call is I'm just looking to verify some information today. And then get straight into one question, okay? Remember, if you ask reference type questions, how long did they work for you? What were the dates of employment? Would you re-employ? Was he ever sick? Reference questions, leave those to HR, all right? Don't ask those questions. They're just useless for you. So just ask in this instance, Jane, an innocuous question. So, Jane, Tom gave me your name, someone that he's worked with in the past. I'm just looking to verify some information. I understand that Tom, I'm getting my role plays mixed up, and maybe refer to one of his achievements whilst working with Jane. So, it could be, I understand that Tom introduced a new accounting structure for the business that, saved in excess of, £30,000 sterling. That's brilliant. How did that work? Or something along those lines. And, again, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really care what you ask as long as it's not one of those reference type questions. All you're looking to do is engage the reference giver in some dialogue, okay? So don't ask them a closed question, don't make a statement, ask them something that they've got to respond to, but don't make it sound like a reference call. I'm just looking to verify some information. Tom said to me that he was managing a team of between 4 and 6. I just wanted to, kind of verify that with you. Oh yeah, actually it was 8. That's great. Thank you for that, Jane. And if you're getting good dialogue and good rapport, keep the conversation going. Okay, you can maybe tell Jane something about the types of opportunity that you're looking at for Tom. So Jane, we're looking at a senior, level accountant's position, a partner within a firm, possible equity, and we are considering, or my client's considering Tom for this type of role. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me? Blah 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 blah. Right. Now, when you get to the end of that call, again, I'm going to address the kick door down recruiters amongst you. You know who you are. Look, I used to do this. I'll be honest. I was probably too young and too dumb not to do it. Right. So I just used to get the end of that call, and I would say, Jane, thank you so much for that information that you provided. I know that Tom would want me to thank you as well for that glowing information. Now, Jane, I will come back to you and I will let you know what happens with Tom and these applications for these different opportunities. Jane, what would be the best email address to remain in contact with you? And Jane, do you have a direct number that I could reach you on? So just take that information from her. I get off. Oh, sorry, I don't get off the phone. Jane, I wouldn't be doing my job as a recruiter. This is me as the kick down door recruiter. Jane, I wouldn't be doing my job as a recruiter if I didn't ask you, what are you working on currently that maybe I could help you with? You may need to say to Jane, we specialise, as you may be aware, we specialise in placing senior level accountants. What are you currently recruiting for that I might be able to possibly help you with? Just try, all right? Now, that's the kick door down salesperson or recruiter. The more sophisticated out there amongst you, and you know who you are, you don't have to do that, all right? So, Roy's taking his closing, he's taking his closing gloves off now. So you don't have to do that. The thing that you need to do, the thing that all of you need to do, is when you get off that phone, is write to Jane saying, guess what? That's right, thank you. So Jane, I just wanted to thank you again for the information you provided on Tom. I will be in touch with you and I will let you know how Tom progresses. Thank you once more. Kind regards, Roy Ripper, business card. All right. If you want to, Jane, if there's anything I can help you with, by all means, give me a buzz. That's enough. No brochures. All right. I'm saying it again just to make sure. No brochures. No hot lists. No. Here's a couple of candidate CVs I slipped in that I thought you might be interested in. No, I don't know, fluffy toys or calendars or anything that promotes you. You don't. This is not what this is. All right. This is about you reaching out and speaking with and entering into dialogue and building rapport with other senior level decision makers within your niche. It's a really, really good system. So look, I think that's it in terms of the two strategies or the two techniques. I'm going to open up to any questions that you might have about those two techniques, or alternatively, if you've used those techniques and I don't know, encountered any difficulty or I don't know, anything like that, all right? And I can see that there's a load more in the room, okay? So look, I don't know how much of that you caught. I hope you caught most of it, but what I'd like to do is just check. If you're using those two techniques, remember peer referencing and managerial referencing or verification calls, tell me your experiences, tell me what's happening, just type it into the chat box for me and I'll try and get round to dealing with it. Any of you that are unfamiliar with those two, you know, ask me some questions. Tell me what you think the main objections are going to be. Because trust me, I've heard, you know, if I've not heard it, there's something wrong. But share your experiences. Tell me, you know, what's worked for you in the past. If you've got an alternative to that, you know, look, you guys know I'm not the oracle on these things. I'll tell you about stuff that I've done and that I see that is best practice. It doesn't mean it's the only thing out there. So I'm warm to anybody's ideas. Now, look, I'm not seeing masses of questions coming through. Now, that means two things to me. Either my question box is down, and I don't think that's there because I can see other stuff in there, or it means that my presentation today has been so comprehensive that it's left no question unanswered, and again, I refuse to believe that. So, look, if there's any questions at all, I'm going to stay on here just for a couple more minutes. Whilst I'm waiting for those questions to come in, a couple of housekeeping bits as well. I know masterminds, you know, I know you guys are all here and it's all regular. It's good to see you there. I know we've got some people that aren't masterminds with us. If you're not and you're interested in this particular group, you know, we get together, we get online. It's all recruitment business owners. If you're interested in that, hang out till the end. What I'm going to do is just post up some details of some free video training for business owners that you guys can get, and you know, if you're interested, then you can find out details of masterminds. So look, I've got a couple here. Steve, hi Steve, good to see you on this one. I think it might be one of your first ones. Okay, Steve, some are reluctant to give any verbal references, and the usual is HR that will only confirm dates. Very, very true, Steve, and you're right. And you know what? It's because of this legislation that has been threatening. Actually, you know, for me, it's been threatening for the last 6 or 7 years. People have said, oh, you know, it won't be possible to give a reference anymore because of this, you know, Data Protection Act. It almost, well, you know the score. You could, in theory, anywhere that holds a record on you, you can go and say, I'd like details of what's been written about me on your record, right? The difficult thing is that if you've asked somebody for a reference, here's the irony: if you've asked somebody for a reference in the strictest of confidence, they're writing something about somebody. So, in a way, if you reveal that stuff to, you know, to the candidate, then in theory, according to this act, currently, you have contravened the person that's given you reference, if you know what I mean. It's all very complicated, and because of that, Steve's point is some are really reluctant to give you any verbal references. You know something, Steve? I've actually found the reverse. What I've found is that they're reluctant to give you anything that's in writing. All right, that's where when a written reference, they say, "Oh, could you send in the written reference?" It's because they can take time to consider each of the responses, and you and I both know, all right, that on a written reference, it'll be so ambiguous that you could never be offended by anything that's written. So yes, we found the person to be, in our opinion, completely trustworthy with regards to these specific areas within their role. Now, reading between the lines, you say, well, they weren't trustworthy then about these other areas. So they'll be really, really particular about what they write, and they have to be. If you can use, remember, drop the words reference. If you can use the peer reference just to speak to somebody, right? So, you know, going back to Tom's example, Tom, give me the names of 2 other accountants that you've worked alongside. I don't care, Tom, if they're your best mates, all right? As long as they've seen you in the job, doing the job, etc., and gaining results, they're the people that I want to talk to. So on peer references, you won't encounter, you very rarely will you encounter resistance and like, please speak to HR, because what's HR going to know about Tom's ability to work as an accountant or whatever? Steve, you are right that if the person on the managerial reference, if they perceive the call as a reference call, definitely they're going to trip you through to HR. If you say something like, you know, oh look, can I quote you on that, or would you mind putting that in an email? It's like, yeah, actually, that then feels like a reference, and I don't want to commit anything. I've had people, when I've done the managerial references, say, look, I'll tell you something off the record here, and they've told me something about the candidate, but they've said, don't quote me on it, all right? You know, I wouldn't want to put that in writing. My view is, you know, that person's got terrible people management skills or whatever it is. So stick to what I've asked you to do, which was don't use the word reference. It's not, sorry, I'm not saying to you it's 100% guaranteed that they won't twig a reference call and put you through, and block you rather, but you'll minimize the chance that you'll get blocked. Yoni, what are the objections indeed that one can encounter? I think, Yoni, the ones that Steve just said there, that they'll say, well, you know, I don't want to, first of all, they'll say something like, I don't want to give any information. Doesn't usually happen on peer references. Managerial, they might do. They may say, actually, and this would get slightly suspicious. They may say, oh, that person used to work for the business. I wouldn't be prepared to provide any detail on their employment. You'd have to speak to HR. For me, that might sound like a bit of a negative reference, and that's fine. I don't want you to peg it as negative. I don't want you to describe it as negative to anyone else that you speak to. What I want you to do is to go back to the candidate and ask them for an alternative. So I wasn't able, Tom, you know, Roy Ripper here, wasn't able to speak to Jane. Who else? Give me one more that I can speak to. And actually, guys, that's always been my formula for if ever I've heard from a reference giver and it's been negative or could be perceived as negative, I would always try and balance that out with two positives. So, you know, we all know sometimes you're going to work in businesses and it's not going to go swimmingly well. You may have made a mistake or an error. I once placed a quality controller that ended up costing the company I placed her with about £42,500 with a bad decision that she made, something that she passed. I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing when my client phoned me up to complain. So we can all make mistakes, and she certainly did. But you know, what I don't want to classify or you know, mark somebody as it's a negative reference. If you hear anything that could be perceived as not positive, gain two positive. Speak to two more people that say good things. Okay, let me have a look. So we've got some more questions in here. And thanks for those, guys. I'm going to keep going. I think, actually, Dina, it might be your one next. Let's have a look. Yes, Dina. Do we share the information with the client? Good. Okay, a lot of candidates ask me why we wouldn't share this with the client. Dina, it's a great question. Really, really good question. And I think, I don't know whether I've done this training with you or you know, maybe with Disha before. The purpose of these calls, are pure lead generation. Okay, so I'm dealing on this training session with using references to gain more clients or gain more candidates. The other use of references is to endorse, support, underpin a current candidate that you've got in an interview process. So, Dino, I'm guessing here that what you're asking is, look, if I've got a candidate that's maybe going on second or third interview with my client, and I take up a reference on that candidate, and it's similar, you know, I probably use the same wording as well, the information I get back, yes, I would share that with the client. I would say, look, you know, and the client knows they'll take up their own, you know, references privately. But Mr. Client, and remember this is different to this training session, but Mr. Client, I've taken the liberty of, I've spoken with so-and-so that Tom used to work for. He described Tom as, quote, the best people manager that he's ever worked with, unquote. So I would use information to support my candidate's application in my client's process, very definitely. And you can always do that, Dina. If you've got great information on a candidate, you'd be crazy not to use it. I agree. Sorry, Yoni, what about gathering references from clients for reaching out to new clients? What would be the process? Yoni, bang on. Now, that's more about positive referrals, and you're really true. Now, look, Yoni, what I want to do is, because I've been reading some great stuff on this, on setting up a client referral scheme, okay? So it's setting up a machinery within our recruitment businesses that actively seek out positive referrals from your clients. And I'm reading some great stuff, I'm writing some good stuff. So if you'll bear with me on that, I'm going to try, if I can't get it together for next week's session, probably in the next couple of weeks, I want to start talking about introducing a client referral system into the way that we work. So thanks for bringing that up, Yoni. You've reminded me as well. Sai, tell the client that this isn't a reference. Yeah, but I just wanted to sanity check, or use your own words, the candidate, Tom, before passing them across to my client. I'm sure you can understand why. Sai, do you know what? That's priceless. That's probably better. In fact, it is better than the reason I described. Because if you level with somebody, if you do it in such a way, in the way that Sai has described it there, and I'll read out to you guys again. If you do it on a, you're getting on a level with somebody and saying, well, it's not a reference check. I'm sure you'll appreciate it's like, I work really closely with my clients, and what I like to do is just have an unofficial word. It's not a written thing or anything. I just like to be able to give my client the heads up. Now, the inference with that, and I can see why Sai is saying it, the inference with that is, this is what I do for my clients. This is what we do. This is how we roll in our house. And by you describing that to the person that's giving you this information, what are you doing? You're advertising. This is the extent, this is the detail that we work with any of our clients. Now, that person that's giving that information, if they're using recruitment people, this is not something they hear very often, if at all. All right? So what you're describing to them is, this is my best practice. The inference is, if you guys are working with me, this is what I'll be doing for you. The inference is, are your recruitment consultants, the ones that are on your preferred suppliers list, are they doing this for you? Chances are no. So, Sai, thank you. I'm going to read it out for everyone again. Tell the client that this isn't a reference. Okay, so and I think it's in response to, what if the person fronts you out and says, oh, is this a reference call? This isn't a reference call. The reason for my call is I just wanted to have a sanity check, yeah, or use your own words. Tom, I want to sanity check the candidate before passing across to my client. So I just wanted to, just to satisfy myself, I wanted to check in with you before I presented Tom to my clients, as somebody that I work really, really closely with. And, they pay me, they retain me. You could use that word. I know, Steve, I think you asked in the forum about, pumping up the retain word. Start dropping the word in, okay? So this is how I work with my retained clients, and my retained clients pay me to unofficially just check people out before we make introductions. It's part of our standard retained process. Drop the word in there; it will mean a lot. Okay, guys, I can see that we're 4 minutes away from finishing. Had some great questions there. So look, what I want to do is wrap up the session. If you join the session late, don't worry, you're going to get a copy of the replay sent to you. If you have any further questions, if you're a mastermind, you'll be able to get onto the LinkedIn forum or in your, the members forum, post any questions there. If you're not a mastermind, remember what I said to you. In fact, if you bear me a second, I'll pop it up on the screen for you guys. I hope that this comes up. So on the right-hand side, you should see, are you a recruitment mastermind yet? No. Actually, I'm just reading it. Click the button to get more info. Just click that button, you'll get some free video training. All right. So masterminds, you don't need to do that because you've got it all anyway. Okay. So look, without much ado, let's wrap up this session. I've really, really enjoyed hanging out with you guys today. My standard sign-off, you guys know this, work hard on your recruitment business, not just in it this week, okay? So work hard on the business, not just in it. And remember, make a difference in the lives of your clients, your candidates, and most importantly this week, your colleagues. I know every week it's your colleagues, and I always tell you that. Remember the people that work around you, for you, with you. Okay, and remember to spot good practice. It's really easy as a manager or as an owner to spot the stuff that's going wrong in your office. What I'd ask you to do is take really, really special care this week to find the stuff that you think is really good and praise it as publicly as you can. So when you hear a call and you think, oh, that's brilliant, I love the way that she handled that objection, tell the person, tell them publicly, tell them with everyone else in the office, because that's the behaviour that you want to try and encourage. And the only way that you do that is by praising it. Okay. So guys, until I see you the next time, hang in there, and I'll pop up with you next week. Take care. Cheerio. Bye bye.